Hey, I'm Colin,
And I'm Chris.
and this is episode one of You Enjoy Ourselves.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun series where we just take a look at different clips. We're going to start with Trey and look at some Treyisms. We may wander into some other players at some point, so we're going to keep this really open. But the idea is that one of us shares a clip, and then we kind of try to extract fun little things out of it. Maybe some things you can work on with your playing that we enjoy with our own playing. And so we're going to start with Colin has a clip here, and why don't you take it away from here and let's dig right into it.
So, the clip I chose for our first episode today is Yamar from Clifford Ball, being from the Plattsburgh, New York area. I couldn't help myself. And it's actually a 30-second clip, and about half of the clip, or the end of the third lick thing, is from one of my students, Michael. He had requested it. So, I do have like a tab for everybody to look on screen so they can learn the lick. And just to let everybody know, that's not quite the vision of what we have here. Right, Chris? We're not trying to just do transcriptions of
Yeah, I
licks, but more have discussion. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just more of a general. This is the kind of thing that's happening here. This is, maybe this is a chord you could use here, or an arpeggio, a mode, or whatever. But not necessarily. We're not like challenging each other to transcribe it on the spot or anything like that. It just so happens, shout out Michael, that you have something on deck, which is really cool. So if we have something, we'll use it. But it's more just okay. What's the vibe? What kinds of things can we apply in our playing? Yeah.
Right. So without further ado, Yamar, Clifford Ball. This hits. Let's see if the screen share is working. Y'all see that okay? I got two windows pulled up here. And let me get this thing off. There we go. That away. You can see both of us. I got two windows open. You can see the video here. I always like to start with audio, just for the skill sharpening tool of ear training when I'm transcribing something. And just I think when we have our eyes, it kind of takes away from the ability that our ears are trying to use. But and I'll explain later why I have the video up as well. But let's just give this a listen. It's around the 6:45 mark, so let's give it a little bit of a pre-roll about 6:38. I'll tell you where Trey stops the phrase, and then the clip that I start. I'll just kind of raise my hand and say this is it. Probably do a little dance. Here we go. Sorry, did I screen share? I did. Okay. Sorry. Here we go. Right here. So that last little bit, I had to keep it rolling. It's just so fun. But
It's so good. It's
we're
hard
gonna
to turn
stop.
it off.
We're gonna stop right before that. Yeah, because I think he goes to the bridge pickup, and play some kind of raunchy country rock licks there. It's just so nice.
That's a great clip, man. That is so good.
So
Oh.
let's jump in. Chris, anything you want to say about it that you heard right off the bat, or should I just go? What do you feel?
How about you just roll? Yeah, I love this clip so much. I love this. I love Clifford Ball in general. So yeah, you just roll, and then I'll kind of maybe I'll just piggyback off of some of the stuff you say and add if I can.
And you told me another day you have this box set, the DVD box set, right?
Yeah,
I
I love like pretty much everything on this. I just think is just amazing. There's little gems in there you kind of forget about, like Brother and like
right,
like
yeah.
fun stuff like that. But it's so good. Yeah,
I've never seen it. I've been at parties where somebody would pop it on and I watch a little bit of it. I think a lot of these YouTube videos are probably clipped from there illegally or
it
whatever. But
it is
yeah,
so good, and it's really voluminous. It has a ton. I mean, it's
right.
I forget how many DVDs it is, but it's a lot. There's amazing Harry Hoods and Rebas, and like David Bowie is really good. Like everything is so good on this,
I'm
including
gonna
this
have to
Yamar.
invest in that at some point. Just for
Yeah,
just for nostalgia's sake,
yeah,
being
totally.
from that area. Um, um, Okay, so let's hear that first lick. You can hear him kind of stop. Ah, so what do we have there? That is a musical device. Am I still screen sharing? All right, I gotta stop the share. There we go. Um, Now, it's a musical device called a sequence, and the definition of a sequence in music is basically a musical, for those of you who don't know, there's a musical idea or a musical motif that has usually a repeating rhythm or a set rhythm, and then that motif moves either down in musical pitch or up in musical pitch. And there's a lot of things you can hear this from, thousands of years ago from classical composers to obviously Trey's doing it right here. So let's dive in. I'll get a close up on my guitar of what exactly Trey's doing. Let's see if this phone camera works. Is that a good shot? Here we go. So I could hear him play, start right on an A up here. What's that? 15th, 17th fret. Get a hold of my octave so I know my bearings of a A major scale.
Hey, Colin, do you think real quick, in case
Yeah,
anybody has never played Yamar, could you just real quick tee him up with the chord progression just so we can kind of put it
I
in
sure can.
perspective?
I sure can. And I'll actually do, sorry about that. I'll do a little so you can get a visual. I like to use the iReal Pro app to practice sometimes. We got an A major way down here, F sharp minor, and then a B minor, which I used to think was B major over D sharp, but I don't think Trey plays the bottom sixth string. B minor, it's really just a B power chord, but you'll hear like Gordo arpeggiate a B minor or Leo in this case play a B minor triad. So A major, F sharp minor, B minor, then an E over G sharp or just an E major. So it's a 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. Really classic chord progression. And yes, it is a Calypso feel. And I forget the guy's first name, but it is a cover song.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I think that'll help kind of put everything into larger context when you explain the sequence here.
And so we have the key of A major, right? 1, 6, 2, 5. So I'm thinking A major scale.
You're
I'm
still
gonna
sharing though. Do you mind going like on your? Yeah, there you go.
No problem. We'll have to remind each other of those things when those are happening, so you can get a nice big view here of the fretboard. So I'm thinking, well, just because Trey plays that A up there, there's no other A on the guitar than maybe up there. So he's here, and what I'm seeing there is it's not quite an A major position that we're usually familiar with, like maybe here, maybe the second octave of that fifth string root. But really, how I think of that is F sharp minor pentatonic. And it's good to see, even though pent meaning 5, F sharp minor pentatonic is only a 5-note scale. When we throw in our 4, D, and our 7, G sharp, we get our A major scale. So, to the meat of what he's doing, he starts, and I think it's on the and of 1, maybe the it's on an upbeat. So there's our first great lesson in just rhythmic, you know, dynamicism of a good player is to maybe start your licks not on strong beats, start it on the upbeat. So he starts on that A and he plays each note twice. I'm not sure how far down he goes, but it might be down to the F sharp there or maybe the G sharp. But you see how that's a sequence, everybody, where he's not just it is stepwise, but he's playing each note of the scale twice, and it's very short, long, or they're staccato. And what adjective for you comes to mind, Chris?
Bouncy, like
Bouncy. Yeah, me
bouncy,
too.
and you know what's funny is like with that bouncy sound, it's joyous, like or joyful. It's so there's something so happy about that. You know what it reminds me of in a kind of different way. I love like paying attention to the score in a film or even in a cartoon, like those old cartoons. It reminds me of if there's like a mischievous thing happening in a cartoon and they have that kind of a similar kind of like you can tell it's playful. That's I guess another thing that comes to mind is there's something playful and joyous and anyway that's how I hear
In
it.
that case, like representative of the character's action or speech or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah.
So this that little ba 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 ba, it just it feels like, cool breeze on an island, and it's nice, and it's, I'm not feeling bouncy today maybe, but it's a microcosm of the song in general. You got a lot of up. It's very uppy,
See you
uppy.
see how you can't even sit still when you hear that.
Yes.
It makes you move. Like that's the thing about it is like it's like even if he chose like a different set of notes to do that sequence, I bet you it still would have a similar impact because of the rhythm. Like the rhythm I think is really yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
definitely.
rhythm is where it's at.
All right, so that's our first thing. That's our sequence. It's going right down the major scale. Now, some other ideas of what a sequence is, if that should we talk about that a little bit to let people know? I have this really great, well, I think it's great, PDF called Sequences and Diatonic Interval Jumps. Take the C major scale and you go in groups of 3, 4, 5 notes. Say you're doing C major. I'll take the first 3 notes. Sorry, I'll zoom in here. Boop. Nope. I'll take the first 3 notes, C, D, E, and then I'll go to the next note, D, and repeat that. So it's a sequence, C, D, E, D, E, F, G. Pretty basic, right? And then I like to permutate the hell out of everything. So instead of 1, 2, 3, it'll be 1, 3, 2, 2, 4, 3, 3, D, D. And then what's the next one? We could go 1, 3, 2. Did I do that one already? Oh, I think I did. So we would go, well, those are all used up. I'd maybe start on the 2. 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 1, and they get really tricky. You can do it with 4 notes, 2, 3, 4, 2. And you can permutate those, and you get lots of musical ideas to break out of that habit of playing stepwise scalar. I'm just playing that up and down the scale, minor pentatonic plateau, which all of us guitar players had at some point. That's a big talking point. I think that's all I wanted to say about sequences. Anything you wanted to
Oh
say
man,
about
yeah,
them?
you hit on something so crucial, I think, which is that, um, especially in kind of the realm we're in with jammy stuff, improvisational music, and people that want to get better at that, um, it really like I think a lot of times it comes down to being creative. And what is being creative? It's being open and being able to see the different possibilities or permutations, iterations of things. Um, because it doesn't take a ton. Like if you really listen to, like I don't know if this is actually true, but I would say like 90% or more of what Trey does in a given jam is pentatonic bass, whether it's major or minor. I really think it mostly is in that kind of zone. And yet, look at how many different ways. Like I loved in that first 3 note sequence that you just did, when you were like, okay, you could go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 2, or all those different ways. Then like think of like, okay, those are the different ways you could start a little mini phrase, but then think of the different rhythmic permutations you could apply to even that. And I think that's what it comes down to, because like to your point about feeling stuck, I've heard from people like, hey, I was at a jam and I feel like I just like did the same thing and I got a little stuck or felt bored even. And it's like, if we can stay, and everybody can relate to that. I certainly can relate to that. But if you can just take a minute, break it into a smaller little bit and ask yourself, okay, how many different ways can I see and hear more hear this little thing? So I love the point that you just made. And where can people find that worksheet? That I'm interested in that. Is that
Yeah,
on your site or something?
shameless self plug time, right?
No, hey
You can
man, I think that's excellent.
GuitarReality.com is my website. It's on my Guitar Reality class. I'm not sure if that one's open source or like free to the public. I think that's one of the deeper ones that is part of the paid thing. But you take a lesson with me. I'll make sure you can get access to that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
we'll
I'll
put a link in the
consider making that
description.
one I'll consider making that one open to the public too.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
have links to everybody's stuff. No, that's excellent. But just like even just hearing that idea, I think is really powerful. Hey, take what you know, take the stuff you have, because I found that people a lot of times know a lot more than they think they do. Even like that's something I've found is like, hey, I don't know if you realize how much you have inside of you that you can bring out, but it's maybe sometimes just getting the guidance of like, hey, did you think of doing it this way or that way?
Yeah,
That's what it comes
that
down to.
permutation thing is, I mean, just think about it like this. Like in Western, music, we get 12 notes. Just think about every song that's ever been written in Western music or pentatonic, music with pentatonic. Like all music is permutations. So it, it sucks that we get stuck, but that is the avenue to get put sand under the muddy wheels or whatever it is, like the thought of like there's definitely other ways to do what I just did, or the basic device. And you got me already thinking like, ooh, different rhythm, because my PDF is just all eighth notes, just to get students started to think like this. But it's like, what if you did what Trey did? I'm not even gonna, because now I want to practice.
But see how
uh,
we could talk for a whole hour on just that little kind of that not little. I don't mean to diminish it, but it's a simple thing. We like there's so much you could do with it. We really could sit here all day and talk about it. But I feel like you have other stuff you wanted to hit too. So
Yeah, there's
I won't derail you anymore here.
two other things. I'm happy with derailing. It took us a short time to get back on the train. So let's go to I'm trying to throw in as many fish, references as possible. So I think that's good on the sequence. You're good on the sequence. Anything else you wanted
I
to
think
see?
that's great. Yeah, that was excellent.
So let's next listen again to the next little lick. Sorry about that little click, everybody. It's gonna do that when I'm not queued up to the right window. So just the kind of the first half of what I played there. Listen to it one more time. Right after the sequence here, nice and light. Just that part. And let me get rid of that. Share. And let's do this camera again. So, like I said, he was playing A major on that sequence, right? And it was nice and light and bouncy and dainty and refreshing on the beach. And he goes right into, play that a little bit better. So right there, he's playing in that same F sharp minor pentatonic shape, which is the relative minor pentatonic of our A major pentatonic, which would be up here. However you want to think about it, some people call it modes like I do. Some people call it boxes, shapes. You can think that that's really just mode 1 of F sharp minor, or it's mode 5 of A major, or box 5, however you want to say it. Talk about permutations. There's a lot of different. I always say this to my students. There is a million ways to skin the music cat, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's all down to, like you said, your perspective, like where you seeing it from. I love this lick though.
Now, but and the juxtaposition is really cool from the light and. He kind of dumps the truck. He kind of gives the heavy, right? And what artist do you think of when you hear that lick?
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I think he got it from Jimi Hendrix, and we could say Jimmy Page and Frank Zappa and Clapton, and yeah. I think everybody plays that classic of, oh, I'm in an A major or any major, chord progression or key. You go down. This is the first trick I learned from one of my uncles around the campfire when I was 10 years old. He's like, oh, you want a solo, Colin? Just, go down 3 frets and then play your major or minor pentatonic when they were playing on. and you get those kind of country, southern rock and roll licks in just like Trey does in Fluffhead. G, C, I don't know if it's A minor 7, D, and he's up here in G major pentatonic, but for us, it's those same, and it's not just the position of E minor pentatonic, it's some of the same licks that work in like a dark E minor. Works in E minor, but in G major. It's cool how they work in either, key or chord progression. Tonality, I guess is the word. So back to that lick. Ooh, rake. Right there. And he's bending the 4, which is that's that Stevie Ray Jimmy lick. But and Trey's the master of really quality bends, right? That's a great way to practice both, not just your bending ability, is your ear training too. Like to bend up to that right note. We miss them all the time as guitar players, quarter steps, microtones, but. And then the next lick, might be paraphrasing that a little bit. What are you hearing there?
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me is, I think you said it really well. The juxtaposition between this kind of bouncy, more like major sounding thing, and then that is kind of like bluesy thing. Even though it is in the major context, it has like he even puts a little extra elbow grease into it. There's a little extra overdrive or something. There's a little grit to that. But then when you go back to that thing, like I hear little influences of like Jessica, Allman Brothers. But then another, in terms of a note that jumps out, that I guess the in terms of an ear training thing, or that you could attach to this, when you hear that fourth, like at one point you hit the da do 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 da, that little. Could you do that little? I can't see. Yeah, so it's starting on the 4 there.
Yeah, it's going 4 3 2 3 4,
and then there's a major 7th at some point, right?
Yep. Here, so let me show everybody and talk through those intervals, just because I guess I know it really well. He's going 4 3 2. Sorry, 4 3 2 3 4. What's the expected note? The 5, right? Because he's just going up the ladder, up scalar, stepwise. But he jumps up a 6, a minor 6, to the root, which could be done. He could be done there, but he's not, because he's actually thinking about that 5 later. 1 7 5. The shape of that contrary kind of motion thing. So down, up, way up, down a third. There is just stepwise. There is a leap of a 6th. Down to your major 7th, which is kind of a tension note, and then it goes down to another third. Just, man, we could just study that. I mean, that little section there. And even though we're in A, I think he's kind of outlining a different chord there. What are you hearing there?
I think that at that point, it feels like it kind of, it might be hitting when it goes to the downbeat in the measure on the A major. So it kind of feels like a major 7th feel at that point, which is, which just has like you said, there's a certain kind of tension to that. There's a color to it that's really beautiful.
Yeah. And I was thinking of another chord too. If he ends on that 5, we have the 4 starting. Right?
E7?
E7. I'm thinking almost like an E7 with a sus that gets resolved. So it's like 4 3 1 to the E, but it started on the 7. Doesn't really matter. It goes by so fast. Again, I'm not sure which chord, and the chords move so fast too. It's not like we can, we could go in a vacuum and slow it down to see what exactly. I don't think he was thinking of I need to hit an E7 or an A major 7. I think he was just licking, like playing licks, right? And it happened. So You could look at that. Yeah, it's a beauty. It's got that mysteriousness of the A major 7, but also uh to me it's almost like he's completing the original shapes intention, which I'm forcing, of to get up to the 5, which would just be stepwise, and then he gets there later. So that lick isn't even in here, which doesn't matter.
It's so good.
So we had our little rock lick, then we had that kind of major 7 dominant, however you want to think about it. Common tones, right? That's why Chris and I both kind of came up with 2 different answers to the what chord could he be outlining there. All right. Any other thoughts you want to say about that one?
Just like kind of reiterating the point that all of those the building blocks of all the stuff you were just sharing are simple things. I'm a huge Barry Harris fan. We've spoken before about him, and one of his most like common things he would say. You can find tons of great like lectures and workshops and stuff that are on online. And one thing he says all the time is it's simple things. It's not, there's nothing fancy going on here, but what it is the creativity. If I were to think of what is Trey's superpower, other than like, yes, he's a masterful player, like technically, but it's how creative he is. I mean, just like look at how many awesome, fun ideas he comes up with, and Fish as a whole. But I'm more focused on his playing here. He's just so creative. Yep. He can take a simple thing and make it feel. It gives it the illusion of being complicated, but it really isn't. It's just that he does it with ease. He does it in an effortless way.
And I don't know if it's relevant to what you just said, but piggybacking off of that, and I've heard this. This is a recycled, regurgitated thing that music educators say, is that, especially in the jazz improv world, improvisation is just composition in the moment.
I love that. That's
and I think point. Trey's a freaking composer. Like he's talked to us about, he wakes up 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and he goes to the piano and he composes stuff. So we got to think when he's soloing, his muscle memory is so good. He's been playing for 50, 60 years. I don't know how long. That he can whip out these ideas, but it's not just like I'm in my A minor pentatonic box shape and I'm just going through the ropes or whatever. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say, but I think his brain is so tuned in to composing something beautiful or interesting or dark or interesting, musically interesting, whatever the other adjective is, that it is composition in the spot as opposed to just mindless kind of, what a lot of people who don't like jam band music call noodling.
If I could jump in for a second,
please.
I have an idea, for people. This is something I've talked about before with students, is that, if you really want to improve your improvisational skills playing, in a jam or something, and you want it to come out sounding more purposeful and coherent, it seems counterintuitive, but try actually writing a guitar solo. Like, try to actually compose one, like where you're not just going off the cuff, but you really kind of craft it from scratch, or maybe you start with something that's similar to like the Lick and Soul Shine, or like take something that can get you started and try to write one. Because if you really think about it, if you're struggling to improvise and you haven't actually written a lot of music in general or a solo, you're asking yourself, think of what Colin just said, it's composing on the fly. You're asking yourself to compose on the fly, but if you've never composed, like workshopping something, that's a big ask of yourself. And if you're struggling, right, don't feel bad, because you're just asking yourself to do something that's actually really difficult to do without having written anything. So anyway, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Like if I think of my favorite moments of like a Harry Hood jam or a Reba, like I'm thinking of them, or Yamar here, they start usually with really simple little motifs that really are rhythmic in nature. Like that's like when you talk about the sequencing thing.
Yeah.
The notes are a part of it, But the thing that really makes it go is the rhythm. So you could just start with a simple, or even think of the composed things like the end of lizards, or things like that, where it's almost like a nursery rhyme, or like in Divided Sky.
That
Yeah,
one.
it's
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
like when the Saints go marching in. Like it's
Yep.
simple stuff. Like try to write something like that, and I think that'll go a long way to helping you improvise. Anyway,
I just wrote a chord melody with that the nursery rhyme ending lizards thing, and I'm not gonna play it 'cause I haven't been working on it in the past
oh,
couple
you just
days.
happen to be doing that on your own anyway?
Yeah, just
Oh,
recently.
cool.
It was because I'm back in school and I've been studying a bit of jazz chord melody for like standards, and I was like, I'm gonna try to make a YouTube video of it at some point, but I just thought it'd be fun to do some chord melody with finger style, um, paying attention to what Gordo's doing, to try to, because we just get. Sorry, we're derailing into lizards. Let's stop. But maybe that'll be another video or something where we
That
talk
would be
chord melody. But
one last
that's
thing because I can't help myself. Yeah, with
oh no, please
lizards,
do.
with lizards, like, and Trey did one of those Instagram videos on. He talked about the end of that and coming up with all of that, and really like the thing that really makes that so moving to me is the bass line. Like it's really
Yeah,
it's not so much the melody is crucial, but without the backdrop of the harmony that's being created by the movement of the bass, and then Paige obviously playing the chords that are supporting that. That's what makes it so special. So that's the last thing, I because we could get derailed on lizards for
all
another
right, all
hour.
right. We could do that another time. Boy, those were some fun tangents, and those tangents are appreciated and welcome here because hopefully people get something out of them. Um,
Totally.
and y'all, if you see something that you have a question about, put it in the comments. Email one of us, and we can maybe go deeper, with explanation if need be. And regarding if you drop something in the comments too, I think we're open to, as we do this, like let's talk a little bit about this series, a little bit more for what people to expect. This first one is you're seeing it right now on Chris's channel. The next one will be on my channel. We're gonna ping pong like that. And I don't know what Chris is gonna do. I have a rough idea of maybe the song title and the venue or the show, the set date, the show date. But I don't know the licks or the clip or whatever. So it's going to be a bit of a surprise. Um, but moving forward, it might help us if y'all drop in the comments, like, check out, if it's whatever, the Gorge, stash or something from 80 or 92 or whatever, whatever date. We'll consider those and listen to them, and it'll give us some more options. So maybe we don't have to search as much.
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, the idea is to not necessarily transcribe it note for note, but just say here's the kind of stuff that's going on. So yeah, we love recommendations. And again, we're starting with Trey here, but we would like to venture into other guitarists too. This doesn't have to just stay with Trey. So if there's some other stuff, but yeah, we love to hear what you guys want to hear us talk about or break down. And also, like, it'd be cool to see if people, not only if they have questions or something, but do you see it a different way? Like share, like if there's
Yes.
something in there, like how do you see that part that happened up, on the 15th fret, or like let's, like, this is a thing where we're helping each other out, and it's a group thing. So
And
at any
it could
rate,
be composite, like chord changes too. It doesn't have
yeah,
to be guitar licks. Are you okay with that too? Could we
I'm
do,
open to whatever. Yeah, I love
like
I love that.
I play bass. I know you're a great piano player. Like sky's the limit. I can't play piano, but bass and chord changes, and we could analyze the theory of it if we want to get into that.
Yeah,
I, I
100%.
I love that kind of stuff. All
Yeah.
right, let's keep going here with the next lick here. Um, my brain is like, wait, more tangents. There's more tangents we could have gone into. All right, let's
We'll
listen to
save it.
the next lick. I think we're gonna skip part of one. That little connective tissue lick, we're gonna just skip over a little bit. It's more of that kind of minor pentatonic thing. It's not too much new stuff in there. Is that okay? Or do you want to? All right, let's just jump to the last lick here, which is the lick, and we'll talk about what's in there. Here we go. Let's listen to that again. Right here. Whew. Whew. Now that's the lick. My student Michael was like, "What's up with that lick?" Like, let's. We
That is
got
good.
into it.
Yeah, again, shout out Michael. That was some good stuff. You know what, you know what occurred to me? Like, I don't want to derail too much here, but I feel like I'm in the movie Weekend at Bernie's when I hear that part. Like, it's like it feels like a beach party. Do you remember that movie?
It's been a long. It's like, oh my god, it's been
it
30
it's
years. So no, I don't know
it's a
quite the scene.
ridiculous movie, but there's this big beach party they have, and it just feels like that when you hear that part. I hear a little like a little anchor slide going on there.
Yeah,
Yeah, tell us
yeah.
what's going on there.
There's an anchor slide, and I hear anchor slide, and I hear bebop. Let's talk about it. Let me show. And this I do have a tab for, so y'all can pause the screen. I'm going to share that for you. Let's do. There you go. Right. It's around 6:57 on that YouTube that channel, which is Fish's channel. So right away we've got this. That's that top line right there. We got a couple of hammer-ons, a pull-off in there. It's going right up, kind of going right up Mixolydian, but we skipped the third, E Mixolydian, because we're in A major. And let me, sorry, change my camera too so you can see my fretboard a bit better. So we're going right up E Mixolydian, but skipping the third. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. Right, those are the notes. And it resolves on what pitch there, Chris? What's that 12 doing in there?
It gives us a little juke out. That's the
Yes.
second or the ninth, and
Hmm?
yeah, that's a very cool choice right there, landing on that note.
It's waiting. It's like, I'm not done yet. There's
Yeah.
more, right? I
Yes.
I
Yeah.
hear Miles Davis when I hear nines or sixes. I hear really cool jazz and just really not suspension as in like fours to threes or whatever, or twos to threes or twos to ones, but I do hear that like, oh, what's next kind of feeling with nines or with sixes because they're right
Yeah. It gives it.
above the one, but right below the two. It's right above the five if it's a six. Um, Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, yeah, I was gonna say it just has an anticipation or anticipatory kind of feeling. Like you're just like, okay, this isn't quite over. And a point I would make about just that simple little choice right there, it's sort of in the halfway point of this little chunk you're looking at is, if you're working on your phrasing, maybe think about kind of putting off the landing to a really strong resolution, because the two, or like you said, the six, those are notes that they add some color, but they don't quite feel like we've gone home yet. And if you were to go to the root there, or go to like a third there, it's kind of like in a movie, like where there's a big twist. It's like revealing it too soon. Like, make them wait to the end, because it can kind of spoil the movie. Like if you figure out the twist like a half an hour into the movie, you're like, okay, now I got to sit through another hour. So you kind of put off the landing,
Yeah,
which
like
I
what, sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
What if he just like held that nine?
yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
feels done, or
yeah.
and that
That's
was
what I'm
the
saying.
one. That was going
Yeah.
down to like a 10 after that, but he doesn't do that, right?
No,
So
no.
now in the moment, like this is that genius level of improvising or composition in the spot, um, where you've got a run, but you've got some patience on the what is that, the third of the, or yeah, the third of the A, and it's kind of staggered, Like who does that? Trey does that. How did he know that? He was just feeling it. The guy's been playing. It's 1996, right? He's at the peak of his career. He's playing what 4 hours before the gig, warming up. Not that everybody has to do that, but I've heard that he would warm up a lot before the shows. And he's just his playing is liquid at this point, and his compositional brain, improvisational brain. I mean, that's just one of those spur of the moment pieces of beauty. I think that, and sorry, I don't have the rhythm on here. When Michael and I were transcribing it, we were just saying, all right, let's just get the tab out so we can, get through make it kind of quick. But I think that's really cool. The ba do da do da 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 da, because this is da 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 da. Little juxtaposition there. All right, let's move on to the second half, and you'll notice those first one, two, three, four, five. It's the same motif, right? It's like he wasn't done with this. He created this idea. He stopped on that kind of I'm not done yet, 9 or 2 note, and then he paused, and then he's like, I'm going to do this again, and there's going to be a bit more. So let's look at the other half. And that's what I find interesting is he goes to the 10 right away.
That jumped out to me too, like how on the other one it was the 9, like you said, that was kind of repeating and staggering, and then
Yeah.
he just had the wherewithal, or heard it in such a way where then he flipped it, and then there's even more tension there because you're playing the fourth there, and it just yeah, man, that jumped out to me too.
So he gets up to the fourth, and he kind of resolves to that, and almost in a way, and I'm kind of realizing this now, because he played this before, this almost sounds like home. Almost. Even though we know it's not home, it's just because we've heard it again. We've been familiarized, if that's the word. We've gotten used to it, so it feels a little less like, oh, I'm not done yet. But he isn't. So here's this whole thing again. Uh, all right, so let's get into there. We've got a little bit of a. So I'll go from let me see if I can put a line on there. Like from, didn't like that, did it? From, let's make that way smaller. From there to that 12 again. So from 12 to 12, basically, I think of that as kind of this connective tissue to the end of the lick. And there you have ba ba. That's kind of similar to that staggered thing where he's playing different rhythms. I really wish I did transcribe the rhythm to see what it is, but anyway. And yes, we have our anchor slide at the end here. Chris heard that right off the bat. What do we have here? It's 9 through 12 business.
Yeah, connecting that third up to the fifth.
Yep.
That's such a great little bit of chromaticism, and it sounds so good in either direction. It really
Yep.
is such an awesome. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And it ends with a blues thing where we get both thirds, flat third up to major third. So not only do we have this is very bebop to play that chromatic enclosure from 3 up to 5, and then move your hand position down. I mean, that's, I don't know if that's Charlie. That's Charlie Parker. That's jazz. That's bebop right there. And then he goes right into his very Treyism, his anchor slide. So the whole thing, let's see if we can get a close up. I'm going to look at it. There we go. There's a
So good.
slow version, and yeah. Anything else you want to say about that? Oh, I wasn't even sharing, was I? Oh, that was on purpose, I think.
Yeah, you were good. No, it was cool to see it up close and see it slower. No, I think that you hit on the points that jumped out to me as well. No, I think it's just plain and simple. It's just amazing that whole run.
Right. So that being said, when
But
I
wait,
was
there's more.
well, no, I think that's it. It covers some of the stuff I want to talk about the lick. Actually, no, there is more because I'm gonna go back to the screen share here. Remember at the beginning, I was like, oh, I like to go with audio first, especially when transcribing to sharpen my skill set as an ear trainer. But I think it's important as a transcriber of any music, especially guitar, which is such a kind of visual instrument. We're very into those dots and angles and triangles and all that stuff. But also, like, we have this C um, here. We have this C here, this C here, and this C here. Oh, and that C here. Those are all middle C on the staff. They are the same pitch, but they all have a different timbre, right? So it's important to learn, I think, a lick in the intended or the original position on the fretboard or whatever the instrument is. If you know, I'm trying to think if there's other instruments. Yeah, I guess fiddle or bass or fretted instruments. Piano, piano is just one position and you're out, right?
One of
Or
each. Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
that's it. So I will look at the video here and shout out to Reeds for using his video here. Now I realized when prepping for this video, after I transcribed this with Michael, that my transcription of this position up here was actually incorrect when I cross-referenced, which I used to do when I was in a Fish tribute. I would look at 4 or 5 YouTube versions and then look at the videos to be like, all right, I want to play this stuff like Trey. I want my Fish tribute to be like, as closest to the real thing. So let's see what he did. Also, we've heard Trey say what Joe Pass says, which is play the easiest thing. Like there's no, I mean, there's a bit of an ego battle in your mind of like, yeah, I could play it there because it's wider frets or because it's trickier fingerings. But Trey has said it, and I think he quoted Joe Pass in that one of those videos, like play the easiest thing. So anyway, I'm not saying the position I figured this out in is necessarily harder or easier. I did figure out that Trey, he's up there. He's up there, 12th, 14th position. We're clearly season 14th. There's your Stevie, Jimmy. Now here's our lick. Can't see his fingers until now. You could see about that 17th fret at the top. He's in the same position he was before with the other licks. So deduction. We do a lot of deduction when we do our transcribing with the videos, right? That wasn't a clear indicator, but that tells me that, okay, I'm just going to move that E to this E and see if I can, because I know my intervals really well on the guitar, not just from an ear training standpoint, but from positionally, like what the intervals are geographically, visually, right? And it's more condensed. The frets are smaller up there. Sorry, I didn't zoom in. Should I do that?
That would be kind of cool. Good
Yeah,
job
let's do
moving that up. That was so cool. Could you and real quick, can you guys hear the difference, like in the timbre or anything jump out to you? But yeah, that was awesome. Maybe
I'm gonna
do the first one and then the second one.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the PDF so I can do a good take on it. So here's the original position I thought it was in. Up. So if we go up here, timbre wise, I almost think it's crisper up here because when I first took music lessons and guitar lessons in college, I had a professor tell me um, the meat of the neck was like fourth to ninth fret ish, positionally. So we learned a lot of stuff in that position. That doesn't mean, and maybe Trey was, like if maybe if he sees this, or if he analyzed that in retrospect, which I'm sure he probably didn't, because he's like, moving on, I got 1,400 other shows to play. Maybe he would have wanted to do it there because it's almost a little brighter on those high strings, but finger wise, it's almost easier to play here because the frets are smaller. Here they're wider. It's six. It's for me, it's not that much more difficult, but so I don't know. What do you think about that kind of thing, about the positional
I think
change?
it's really cool to, or at least to me, it's not only just cool, but I think it's really important to know how to do the same thing in as many different ways as you can, which is what you just hit on there. Even if it wasn't on purpose at first, I think that there's a couple of really great takeaways in terms of anybody out there that wants to get better at transcribing, based on what Colin just said. Like, he likes to start with his ear first to um, keep that muscle strong and keep working it. I think that's a really good point. And then number two, checking it back to the guy that actually played it. If you have the video evidence to look at, I'm the same way, man. I'm
You know,
always like referencing like these videos from the crowd or whatever and seeing if I can make out around the position that he's at.
which is sorry to interrupt, which is a relatively new thing,
Yeah, that's right.
especially with the development of smartphones and
Yeah.
crowd shots. Sorry.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think that while it is like I can see a lot of value in like a couple different things here. On one hand, I can see the value in playing it in a different way. I think that's really cool. Then on the other hand, I think it's really awesome to find out how Trey actually did it. So just to share a similar thing, when I first started my channel, it actually wasn't, it was a different channel, but I did You Enjoy Myself. I think it was like the first video. And it didn't even occur to me at that point to try to play it just like Trey. I know it almost is embarrassing at this point, but I didn't even think that way. I was just like, I just want to know how it goes. I didn't even care really, and it
Right,
wasn't
relate
until
to
I
that.
put it out and people were like, "That's not how he's doing it," and
Right.
and getting over like the bruised ego of that. I was like, you know what? They're right. There is something really cool in finding out how does Trey do stuff, especially you can get these great lessons about economy of movement or
Right.
different shapes he's coming from. And that being said, on the other hand, when I look back on the way I used to play it, on the other hand, I'm like, oh, that was kind of cool. I came up with this other way to do it. So I really can see a value in both ways. I think that one of the main things I try to practice just in my routine, my weekly practice routine, is really that's the main premise of it, is how many different ways can I play the same thing, not only positionally but rhythmically. Kind of you hit on that earlier. So I really I think that you hit on some really important things in general for your general playing and for transcribers out there. I think there's a value to all of that. So that's my 2 cents.
One last cent that I will put on that is geography of the fretboard. That's I think you probably already kind of touched on that, but in terms of like note name recognition too, if that's something you struggle with, like say I got a really great joke. I'm not going to tell it about, you know, yeah, a kid who wants to learn bass. He only learns the bottom two strings, and then he blew off the third lesson to get a gig or whatever. And his dad's like, it's a really great joke. But like if you're struggling with note name recognition, like I sometimes I'll quiz a student and be like, all right, show me C sharp on the G string. That's how fast I want you to find. Now it's not fair because I'm quizzing myself here and I get a little bit of pre-time. But if that's something you struggle with, I think it's helpful to be like, so E, F sharp, A, B, C sharp, whatever it is, E, F sharp, because then you're putting to memory that E started there, that pattern of E, F sharp, B. You're getting your note name recognition, or as well as the intervallic relationship of whatever the lick is geographically at different spots of the guitar. Uh, play that same lick, even if it's a tiny little lick like that, in all those places. Obviously, start with one note if it's just octaves to help you. Anyway, that's the last 1 cent I want to put was like geographic mapping of note name recognition or intervallic type of thing.
This is such a cool bit of happenstance. I'm gonna share my screen for a second. I had a group call last night. Colin actually hosted last week I do a Tuesday night group call. And anyway, for last night's session, we did a very similar thing. Let me actually share this. And if you're still watching this far into it, and if you want this link, just hit me up and I'll send it, or maybe I'll put it in the description. But let me share this. We did a really similar thing. So I created this set of flashcards. I'm going to shuffle
these are
it.
great. I love these.
Okay, so it'll give you a position, and then when you click it, it'll have some chords here. Well, you could either do it as notes, like Colin was saying. Like you could just identify, okay, if I'm in the 12th position, and you could either be, like, okay, I'm going to put my index finger there, or it could just be around that area. You could say, where is the note D sharp / E flat, and where's the note A? Or what I had them do last night was play the major arpeggio based on that, no matter where you are. So you would do that, and then you move on. Okay, now we're on 3rd position. Play funny, it's the same too, which is actually a cool challenge because you have to find the same thing. Anyway,
I can't help myself. Like, I want to try it.
I know. Yeah, I'll send it to you. It was a really fun exercise, but stuff like that's crucial. If you want to be able to flow and improvise, you kind of need to map the terrain. We use similar language. You talk about the geography. The same thing for me. I find it to be it's a landscape, and you have to have a lay of the land so that you can go where you want to go and have fun. It's not fun if you're stuck. Just like anything in life, and so. Anyway, man, you had so many great points here, and I thought that was an excellent first one to break down. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of that, and I think a lot of people enjoy that particular version. I know I love that Clifford Ball Yamar. I'll take any Yamar just about. I love that tune. So yeah, and again, guys, next time it'll be on Colin's channel. We're gonna ping pong. I guess you're gonna have the evens. I'll take the odds, and in terms of the episodes, and when I'm on Colin's channel, I'll present a clip for him to check out, and we'll kind of have a little banter about it. I'll give a little clue. It's going to be from Big Cypress. I won't say the song or like the timestamp or anything like that.
Nice.
Hey, we really appreciate you, especially if you're listening still, whatever it is, an hour in, man, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and all that stuff, subscribe and everything like that. We really appreciate it. Check out, we both have courses and stuff if you want to dig deeper and you want to work one-on-one with us or in group settings. We'd love to have you, and we'd love your suggestions, and more to come. This is one of many, hopefully. So man, thank you for breaking all that down. That was very thorough, and I got a lot out of that. I think a lot of people will.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Y'all take care. It's a pleasure to be here, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, see you soon.